Hello and welcome to my room tour. We'll start off at the top of this rack unit. This is a Mini Nova synthesizer. I really like the synthesizer because great sounds first of all. The animate buttons are great. Sort of give some livelihood to liveliness to the sound. Very nice interactive synthesizer there. Down here is, I got this super bargain. Some guy actually bought it and he was gonna do some film project and burn it, which is bizarre. Like, why would you do that? But some great sounds, as you can hear. Filters are what I like the most for this Korg. So yeah, it's actually connected to this Lexicon MX200. Now the Lexicon, I just love this piece. Lexicon actually, this is sort of like the cheapest model out of all of them. There's the MX300, MX400 available, but I wanted the MX200 because it's got jack input outputs at the back. If you get the fancier ones, it's got XLR jack, and it's just not needed for my current setup because a lot of my setup goes to a patch bay, which will use jack cables anyway. So yeah, this is great for what I do. This unit is fantastic. The thing I like about it is you feed the input here. It's got two different mix knobs. So this patch, for example, has a reverb plate with slight detune, and you can really mix it to taste. Obviously, it's got the famous Lexicon reverbs. So that, yeah, I mean, it's a great unit. You can tap tempo, the delays, and all the different presets. So yeah, I mean, this is actually awesome. I really like it, and it's pretty inexpensive. Down here is the 11 rack, which I use for guitar sims and stuff like that. A lot of people use this as an interface as well, but I can't get my head around the 11 rack software. You have to like register the license and all that, and it's just, I don't know why Avid make it so difficult. But as a standalone unit rack with sims, it's fantastic. I use two different outputs, so output to amp, which I can feed straight to sound card if required, or a separate output which I can, mic up an actual amplifier or something like that and mix the tones in, so it's really good. But what I'm actually using this the most is for its bass sims. So plug a bass in there and you've got some really great bass sims. So yeah, that's what I use it for. There's a lot of uses for it. I've seen a lot of videos online, people use it differently, but that's what I use it for. It's mainly bass sims and of course guitar sims as well. Oh, down here is Presonus. This is my interface to my computer. I really like this unit. The first channel is bung. I don't know what's going on with the first channel. You plug an instrument in there, it slightly distorts. But other than that, I mean, I got this pretty inexpensive. But yeah, I like it. It's a really good unit. Can't say much more. This actually, at the back of this unit, it feeds out to my monitors, my primary monitors, which is Presonus monitors. These monitors are great. I'll get to this section of the setup at a later video, but it also feeds a secondary monitor. This secondary monitor is actually just, I don't know, it's kind of mid sort of frequency monitor, and it's just nice sort of using it as a small box kind of reference. Anyway, moving down, Focusrite ISA 2. I'm a big fan of the Focusrite's preamps. It's a really clean preamp. Now, I've never sort of owned a Neve preamp or anything like that, but apparently it can get that those sort of sounds, and yeah, it's just, to me, it's a really clean boost. You got the different inputs, mic instrument line, and I actually, at the back of this, I've got an insert, so if I want to, say, you know, plug something in, insert it in the patch bay, you know, blend it into something else, whatever. The thing I really like about this is the high pass filter. Obviously there's a lot of information on the low end that you don't need half the time, like, you know, plug a synthesizer or a guitar, you don't need that low end to make room for the bass, so it's just really easy to just put the filter through, cut out the low information. The famous Universal Audio LA610 Mark II. It's got the LA2A compressor style here, optical compressor. It's actually just, there's not much to the compressor. It's sort of got bypass mode, compressor, I think it's, you know, if you select compressor, I think it's 2:1:3:1 ratio, so it's preset, you can't really change it, you can't change the attacker or anything like that. And a limit. I usually just compress. This sounds great. I mean, haven't had this one for a long time, but it's sounds great on bass, drum machines and things like that. It sounds really good. It's not the cleanest preamp, so it does add color. Adds a bit of, not hum, but just that tube sound. So it's not clean like the Focusrite. But I mean, I guess that's why people like it, because it gives it a bit of analog flavor. It's modeled off I think the old 60s style console, so I mean, it does give it an aging feel. It's good for certain bits and pieces, so I use it for that. Anyway, so the patch bay, bay ringer. There's not much to this, other than you've got you can normalize through switches and balance. Basically what that means is you can, for example, if you've got outputs here, you can make it sure that even without patch cables it will automatically connect to these, that sort of thing. So just flexible routing. Normally I just make it normal, so you know, just patch it accordingly. Focusrite Session Pack, ISA 220. This is sort of like the older model, but I got this for a bargain. Some guy was upgrading and decided to sell it. There's a few bits and pieces for this, like if you put the limiter in, it's got this really weird noise sound, like it's not clean. Something, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but anyways, I use other bits and pieces for a limiter. Other than that, it's working okay. So yeah, that was secondhand, like a lot of my gear. So, but yeah, really good bargain. By the way, before I continue on, you know, not rich at all. I've had to work for all of this, and yeah, I'm a real bargain hunter. So it looks like a lot, but there's been some great deals. So yeah, I've just kept an eye on the deals, really. Second-hand sort of market. This one here was new, bought new. Pro VL2 art compressor. The reason why I got it is apparently it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to make a claim and be incorrect, but you know, an expensive 1176 style, but nowhere near the price of an 1176, so a much more budget friendly version. But I really like it. It's quite clean sounding to me, because of the, you know, attack, release, knobs, threshold. You can really get into what you want the channel to do. You got a dual button there. You can really just get down to it, you know, with whatever ratio you want. Soft knee, hard knee. So yeah, a really flexible compressor is what I'm trying to say. Okay, here is a Roland line mixer M160, and I use this as a sub bus mixer, if that makes sense, because I've got a lot of rack synths and all that sort of stuff, other synths here, bits and pieces. What I do is I can blend the synthesizers to get, you know, two different sounds. So like, you know, I might want the pad sound of this, but then the bass sound of that synth. You know, you can really just blend it. In terms of the mixer, there's no EQ or anything like that. It's really just a sub mixer. So you've got your volume, send to effect, return, which I sometimes do, but really it's just the volumes and pan if you need to. And obviously you've got a few faders here as well. So you've got your initial gain volume here and secondary gain here for the faders, and then your master. Got this at a bargain again. It was missing one little knobby thing here, but who needs 16 channels? So yeah, it's really good. So I've got a couple of labels here. So here's a couple of synthesizers that I've plugged in, so I can blend the synthesizers. I've got my DJ equipment on this one. You know, you can just really use it as a good sub mixer. And down here, these last three are all synthesizers, really. So Super JD from Roland, JD990. It's actually got, there was a music shop that was closing down, and man, this was part of their closing down sale. So I got this for peanuts. I was super lucky because it's super rare, and I look on eBay now and the price on them have gone like ×5 of what I bought it for, so super lucky. It's got the vintage synth expander card inside, which you can actually, if I press utility card, so you've got all these like normal sort of presets and stuff, but it's got all the vintage ones, like Juno, pretty much like any Roland synth that they've ever made up to the 90s. So I mean, there's a lot of sounds in that, and that's probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment. Moving down to the Yamaha TX817, most famously known for the Lately preset, which is that bass sort of house preset. This is from the 80s, and yeah, very 80s sounding. If I ever want to go sort of 80s style, I use that. Waldorf Q. This one here is very trance sounding to me. Trance, also industrial sounding. Gets used occasionally, but for my style of music, because I do sort of indie rock now, I used to do a lot of techno and house. For my style, I mean, I'm using all the other ones, mainly the Roland, the Korg over there, Micro X, just other bits and pieces. I mean, this sounds quite aggressive industrial sound, so not really the type of music I do, but it does occasionally get used, and it's just fun to experiment with. So there you go. That's the rack there. Obviously I have a lot to go through, so maybe I'll just do another video so I don't bore you. But if you do have any questions, let me know. If you do like this style of blogging room tour, let me know as well, because that will push me to make another one if needed. And so this is my website, thisflighttonight.com. So I'm the sort of songwriter, singer of that, and get musicians to play on the records. We've done 3 EPs already. So, for example, let's just quickly play one if I can. That sort of style. So it's very pop rock. But yeah, I dabble on other things as well. So check me out, www.thisflighttonight.com, also on Facebook and Instagram.